You're standing at your kitchen window with a coffee in your hand. A bird lands on the garden fence small, quick, totally alert. You freeze. You don't want to scare it off, right? You're barely even breathing. And then it leaves. Just like that. Gone before you could even decide whether to reach for your phone. You tell yourself it must have heard something. A car down the street maybe. A neighbor's dog. Just bad timing. But here's what actually happened. That bird didn't leave because of some random sound. It left because of you. And it wasn't because of a movement you made either. You didn't make one. It wasn't the noise. It was something deeper. Something the bird detected before it even fully landed, before its tiny feet even settled on the wood of that fence. It ran a check. Invisible, instant, completely automatic. And whatever it found, the result came back the exact same way it always does when a space hasn't been cleared yet. Not safe. Leave. Maybe you've noticed this too if you've been standing at that window for months. The birds have been making that exact same decision every single time. So the real question isn't why they keep leaving. The question is, what are they actually looking for before they'll finally agree to stay? Here's what most people don't realize is happening every time a bird approaches your space. Your yard isn't just a garden or a balcony or a back deck. Not to a bird. To them, it is basically an interrogation room. And that interrogation begins way before the bird ever crosses your property line. From a high branch, from a wire, from somewhere you haven't even looked, a bird has been sizing up your space for much longer than you know. And it's not just looking for food or water. It's running a full security audit, checking sightlines, mapping out exit routes, cataloging every single element that could mean the difference between a quick meal and death. And the most unpredictable element in that entire audit? It isn't the cat from next door. It's not even the kid's bicycle left out in the middle of the lawn. It's you. To them, your space starts out as guilty. It has to prove its innocence. And the proof it needs isn't just a bird feeder or a water bowl. It's a sustained, completely reliable pattern of signals that together say just one thing. Nothing here is going to kill you. This matters because that is the threshold. And honestly, most people never realize that they are the exact reason it hasn't been crossed. And this is where it gets interesting. Birds don't just process you being there as a single random event. To them, it's a sequence, a choreography, and they memorize that choreography with an accuracy that would honestly make most people pretty uncomfortable if they actually knew about it. The exact time your kitchen light clicks on in the morning, that's logged. The specific sound your back door makes when it opens versus when it slams, filed separately. Even the rhythm of your footsteps when you're taking out the bins compared to when you're just crossing the yard, those are two completely different signatures, and any bird within earshot already knows how to tell them apart. What they're basically doing is building a behavioral map of your entire life. Now, they aren't doing this consciously. It's just survival computation running in the background constantly. A songbird's brain dedicates a massive amount of its processing power just to pattern detection, specifically figuring out if a recurring event is random or predictable, because random means uncontrollable, and uncontrollable means dangerous. See, a predictable human is a manageable human. And a manageable human is someone a bird can plan around. The exact moment your routine becomes consistent enough that a bird can guess your next move before you even make it, you stop being a threat. You start becoming part of the landscape. That shift from threat to landscape is the very first gate. And it doesn't open because you did something kind. It opens because you became clockwork. But pattern recognition is really just the first layer of what's going on here. Because birds don't just learn your routine. They learn you, specifically, individually. They see you as a completely distinct entity, totally separate from every other human who has ever walked through their world. Your height, the specific width of your silhouette, that forward lean in your stride, the one you don't even notice because you've always walked that way. Even the particular tone of your voice when you're talking on the phone outside, all of it is being encoded into what researchers call an individualized biometric profile. We've seen studies on crows and jays showing they can recognize individual human faces with insane consistency. But it isn't just them. A lot of songbird species show completely different reactions to familiar versus unfamiliar humans in their territory. If a stranger walks into your yard, it triggers a response that is measurably more intense than when you walk out there, even if that stranger is doing the exact same thing you do, even if you're wearing different clothes. Think about what that really means. You've been recognized. You have a file. And that file gets updated every single time you step outside. The bird in your yard doesn't just see a person, it sees a known entity with a history. And it's constantly deciding whether that history is trending towards safety or trending away from it. Here's the practical thing to keep in mind. Consistency matters. The day you wear that bright yellow jacket you never normally wear or walk in from a direction you never usually come from, you partially reset that profile. The file gets flagged, the trust buffer shrinks, and the bird starts all over again, recalibrating who you are. Think about this for a second. The bird watching you from that branch up there, it isn't just seeing your silhouette, it's actually reading your energy. And that's not some metaphor, it's a measurable, behavioral phenomenon. The pace of your movements, how abruptly you change direction, the exact angle of your gaze compared to where the bird is sitting, every single one of these variables feeds directly into the bird's threat calculation in real time. A person walking quickly with their eyes locked forward, moving toward a feeding area, reads almost identically to a hunting predator. Even if that person is you, even if they've seen you 100 times before, research tracking what's called flight initiation distance. Basically, how close a human can get before a bird takes off shows something pretty wild. The exact same bird, near the exact same human, will let you get way closer on days when you move slowly and look down at the ground than on days when you're moving fast and scanning around. 3 times closer in some documented cases. Your emotional state is a physical broadcast. When you're tense, your body produces sharp, fast, aggressive movements. A calm body produces something slower, rounder, less targeted. Birds read that difference not as an emotional vibe, but as a survival input. The calm version of you doesn't register as safe because it's pleasant. It registers as safe because it doesn't match the movement profile of anything that has ever tried to eat them. This is exactly why the most successful wildlife observers all share one specific quality, and it actually has nothing to do with patience. It's a physical stillness that comes from genuine mental calm. You can't fake it either. The body doesn't lie at the level of detail these birds are reading. But here's the part nobody tells you. You aren't the only reference point a bird uses to decide if your space is safe. You're just one voice in a much larger conversation. And that conversation is happening between entirely different species. Before a bird will fully settle in your yard, it consults the neighborhood. Not directly, of course, not in a way you'd notice in real time, but through the postures and calls of the other animals sharing your space. A squirrel feeding calmly near your back step is sending a continuous, low-level signal to every bird in the area. Nothing alarming is happening here right now. A robin singing from your roof at mid-morning is broadcasting the exact same thing. But a chipmunk that suddenly freezes and stares instead of foraging, that sends the opposite. Birds take in these signals passively, continuously, all day long. Your yard's safety score in the local animal network isn't calculated by you alone. It's a composite score, put together by every single creature moving through your space. The pigeon that lands without hesitating. The blackbird that stays put while you walk across the garden. Each one of them is casting a vote, and the birds watching from the edges are tallying them up. What this means practically is that a single, relaxed, comfortable animal in your yard does more to lower the threat threshold for every other species than almost anything else you could do on purpose. Honestly, one calm squirrel is worth months of careful behavior on your part. Now, let's flip this around entirely. You've probably been looking at your yard as your space, a place you maintain. The place you've set up with nice things for birds to use. But look at it the way a bird does. To them, your property is a grid of survival probabilities. That corner by the dense hedge, high cover, multiple exit angles, low exposure. Probability of survival, high. That open patch of lawn right below your door, 0 cover, only one exit route, and it's the exact spot the human always appears from. Probability, low. The bird feeder placed right in the center of the open grass. Food is there, sure, but the exposure is total and the escape geometry is terrible. Probability, way lower than you intended. Birds don't see a garden. They see a map of where they might die and where they probably won't. And every single time you add dense planting, every time you move a feeder closer to natural cover, every time you make your own movements more predictable near those spaces, You are redrawing that map. You're expanding the green zones. You're shrinking the red ones. You aren't just decorating a garden. You are editing a survival document that every single bird within 200 meters is consulting on a daily basis. And then, one day, something shifts. A bird lands on a branch maybe 3 feet from where you're sitting, and it doesn't just fly away. It looks at you, like really looks right at you, and then it just turns its back. It starts preening. It's completely focused on fixing its feathers, eyes half closed. Now, in the bird world, turning your back on someone isn't just casual. It's a conscious decision to let your guard down. A bird that sits there and preens right in front of you isn't just comfortable. It's making a massive biological statement. It's basically saying, I've checked this person out. I've decided they aren't a threat, and I don't need to watch them anymore. I'm moving on with my day. That moment right there, it's quiet, it's incredibly easy to miss, and it doesn't take some grand dramatic gesture on your part that is the peace treaty. It's the invisible line you finally crossed. And it's not because you forced it. It's just because over time, through patience and consistency and just being calm, you became something the wild world decided it could actually live alongside. Honestly, that is exactly what trust looks like between a human and a wild animal. And the thing is, it was always there for the taking. You just didn't know what it was waiting for. Think about the wildlife right outside your own door. Have you noticed them starting to read your routine yet? I'd love to know about the first time a bird chose to just hang out and stay in your space. Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear exactly how it happened.